religious authority, one man dared to suggest that Earth was not the center of the universe. For that, he stood trial. Not for theft, not for treason, but for challenging the cosmos itself. This is the dramatic tale of Galileo Galilei, a scientist who shook the heavens and paid the price. Galileo was born in 1564, the same year Michelangelo died. A child of the Renaissance, he studied mathematics, motion, and astronomy. But it was in 1609 that everything changed. He crafted a telescope, far superior to those of his time, and turned it toward the night sky. What he saw was revolutionary. The moon wasn't smooth, it was cratered and rugged. Jupiter had moons orbiting it, celestial bodies not circling Earth. Venus went through phases, just like our moon, proof it orbited the sun. Each observation was a crack in the foundation of the geocentric universe, the model backed by the Church, in which Earth stood still at the center of creation. To Galileo, the evidence was overwhelming. To the authorities, it was blasphemy. The dominant worldview, rooted in the teachings of Aristotle and refined by Ptolemy, placed Earth immobile at the center. This wasn't just scientific belief, it was theological truth. Scriptures were interpreted to say so. Galileo embraced the heliocentric theory of Copernicus, which had been published nearly a century earlier. But Copernicus had couched his ideas cautiously. Galileo was different. He was bold, outspoken, and willing to challenge sacred traditions. In 1616, the Catholic Church officially declared heliocentrism formally heretical. Galileo was warned, teach it only as a hypothesis. He obeyed for a while. Galileo believed reason and faith could coexist. He even wrote letters arguing that scripture should not dictate science. When Cardinal Maffeo Barberini became Pope Urban VIII in 1623, a man who had once praised Galileo's work, it seemed the stars had aligned. But in 1632, Galileo published Dialogue concerning the two chief world systems. The book featured three characters: Salviati, who argues for heliocentrism; Sagredo, an open-minded layman; and Simplicio, who defends geocentrism and comes off as, well, simple. The Church was outraged. Not only did the book openly advocate heliocentrism, but many believed Simplicio was a thinly veiled jab at the Pope himself. Whether intentional or not, the damage was done. In 1633, Galileo, then 70 and ill, was summoned to Rome by the Roman Inquisition. He was interrogated, threatened with torture, and accused of violating the 1616 injunction. Galileo insisted he had remained within bounds, that he had only discussed theories. But the dialogue, his tone, and his past warnings came back to haunt him. On June 22, 1633, Galileo was found vehemently suspect of heresy. He was forced to kneel and recant his support for heliocentrism. According to legend, he muttered under his breath, "A per se muove," and yet it moves. Whether he actually said it or not, the phrase became a symbol of quiet defiance. Galileo spent the rest of his life under house arrest, but confinement couldn't extinguish his brilliance. He continued to write in secret. In 1638, he published discourses and mathematical demonstrations relating to two new sciences, laying the groundwork for modern physics. Even blind by the end of his life, his mind remained sharp. He died in 1642, the same year Isaac Newton was born, a symbolic passing of the torch. Galileo's writings eventually spread across Europe, fueling the scientific revolution. Over time, the Church softened. The ban on his works was lifted in 1822, and in 1992, Pope John Paul II formally acknowledged that the Church had been wrong. But Galileo's trial isn't just a relic of the past. It's a reminder of what happens when power fears truth, when evidence is silenced by authority. Galileo once said, "All truths are easy to understand once they are discovered. The point is to discover them." He dared to discover and paid a steep price. But in the end, his truth moved the world.